So I just noticed that my McFly has 30 hours on it, and it's been my main motor for 30 hours since May. And I figure that's probably a good time to give you a more in-depth review on how I feel about that particular motor, which has been quite good. So let's get it out of the truck and we'll walk around it and then go fly it, and then I'll tell you. So here she is, my lovely McFly that I've been flying for the past 3 months-ish. She's got 30 hours on her. I just want to run through things I like about it, and then we'll go up in the air. Things that have happened that I'm not such a fan of. So first of all, the biggest thing with the McFly that I think everyone talks about is the torque compensation and just the way it flies. That's my favorite part about it. I think the rest of it, it's built nice. There's some things that I have a little bit of a problem with, but the magic of this for me is just how well it flies. Full throttle, straight up, no torque. I did fly it without the carbon fins on it, and it still flies really well, but it doesn't have that really, really straight magic. It's close, but it's not quite as good. The harness is also really comfortable. Like the way this cups you is also something I really like. It's very comfortable. Okay, so the T-strap on the Soul Rev harness, I don't mind it. It's taken a little bit to get used to get into the seat is a little bit different. It's not hard, but it's just different than most other paramotors. When we first got it, we were excited about the speed bar stows on the harness. I honestly think they're in a pretty bad spot. It's really hard to get them to work in the air or on the ground, so I end up just not stowing my speed bar most of the time. I would rather have them on the end of the swing arm where you can reach them. There's two straps here. I don't know why, but the secondary strap, so there's one that's kind of on this hinge that pulls this flap up, and there's another one that just lifts the whole seat up. The one that lifts the whole seat up always goes loose on me. I gotta tighten that sometimes. Oh, I do love this pocket here, right here on the side though. I can stuff my selfie stick in it and not have to sit on my selfie stick. It works fantastic. Let's talk about the netting real quick. All right, I think the netting looks really cool, but I don't think it's really that protective overall. I think all it's doing is just kind of holding this paramotor together. You can put your hand right through it. It also, when you take the cage apart, you have these free ends, and you have to be really careful you don't tangle these or get them intertwined with each other. I've been really careful to just wrap them around the hoop section, but it is something I try to be careful of. And then when you tension it, you kind of have to get all the strings to tighten up. It's not hard, it's just a little bit of an extra step. The powder coating. So mine's powder coated black hoop. Most of them aren't like this. Now Wes knows a thing or two about powder coating. He's had a dump truck box powder coated, and he was very impressed with the durability of this powder coating. We've been taking it in and out of this bed-lined Ford Ranger here, and it's pretty abrasive, and it's definitely hitting the sides. There's not a scratch on this powder coating, so whatever they're using over in France to powder coat is very, very durable. Now this particular McFly is powered by the Vitarazi Moster 185 engine. I've been flying these for a very long time, and there's not really much to say about it other than it is pretty much the gold standard of paramotor engines in the world. There's more of these floating around than basically anything. It's got a 140 prop on it, which gives it a little bit more thrust, but I haven't had an issue with this motor at all. I tuned it once and it's been great. You can get these with a smaller hoop too, so you can run a 130 prop. There's also a really small one, but I wouldn't get that one. One thing I do like about this frame is this 140 prop with this hoop. They make the hoop slightly smaller than most other paramotors with a 140 hoop. That gives you a little bit less clearance with the prop. It's very close to the ground when it's sitting on the ground. But the hoop feels smaller, so it almost feels like you're flying a normal size paramotor, but you still get the extra thrust that the 140 prop gives you. I don't know why, but the harness has been wearing in the back. Okay, before it gets too late in the day, I'm gonna take the McFly up in the air. We'll go talk about it in the air. I'll give you some in the air feedback. Up here, flying the McFly. So I've obviously been, if you've been paying attention, flying Scout paramotors for a really long time, since like 2019. I was on the Scout mobile. And that was kind of my jam. It was my favorite thing. I liked the way the harness felt. I liked the way the torque compensation worked. I liked the design ethos, and I think Miro is really rad. So I really had no reason to switch to anything else, but I had a few times flown a McFly thanks to Matt Minyard and the Martin brothers up in Wisconsin when I went to Oshkosh. And I remember after all of those times, I think I flew it 3 times, I said my next paramotor, if it's not a Scout, will be a McFly. And here we are. Put it out in the universe and it happens. Imagine that. So let's talk about what I like with this thing. The biggest thing to me is the torque compensation. I'm at full throttle right now. 140 prop at sea level. And we're just going straight up. And it really works, like, so well. There's no torque. I would say most other paramotors with this setup, this kind of aggressive wing, 140 prop at sea level, all this power, for me, the wingtip would be like down here. It'd be doing this at full throttle. It just creates something that feels really, really balanced to fly all the time. Wingovers and just everything. It just feels good. So that's the big thing. Now, without the fins, it's still really good, but it's I would say the torque compensation is basically on par with everything else. I'd say the wingtip comes like not about there, it just kind of holds it. The other thing that's really special about this McFly is I don't know what Alex Mateos, world champion, super awesome pilot, did when he designed the geometry of this. And by geometry, I mean the relationship between the thrust line, the center of thrust, in the middle of the propeller, these carabiners, how much offset is in these swing arms, how much the motor is tipped on the motor mounts, that kind of stuff. Whatever he did, oh my god, it just has a way of tracking straight, even when you go through turns, even when you get upside down and you're light in a wing over, it's just sharp. And the weight shift is really good. Now this is the warp, so it's a little less dynamic, but I can just go full throttle and continue to talk to you. It's great. Okay, let's talk about the harness real quick. I actually really, really like this harness. I don't know why. I'm not a fan of the Dudek harness, the Dudek power seat harness, but it just doesn't make me go, oh yeah, I like this a lot. It just never fits me quite right. The Scout harness, especially the new one, I really liked because it was narrow and the weight shift is really sharp. You can push down on it. There's big pockets. That's one thing Scout does awesome, big pockets. The McFly does that well too. This harness is different. It's got this waist strap dangle thingy, which only has 2 clips to get out. I guess it's easier to get in and out of the paramotor. That's always a bonus. It also has a lot more adjustability, which I really like. There's like this lumbar support situation right here. And then there's 2 straps in the front. One, like I said, pulls up the front board. And then the other pulls up like the whole seat assembly so you can adjust how scooped you get it. I like my harness to cup me. I want my butt to be lower than my knees. I want to feel fitted. And this does that. Reserve on the side, I like a lot. Here's one of the things I really like about this harness. You have the reserve on the side, but then you also have another pocket. Most paramotors just have the one pocket that zips in. But this one actually gives you the reserve and then also another pocket, which is large, which holds the selfie stick nice, but you still have a pocket on your right side, so good on you. Good on you, peeps. There's also a huge pocket underneath the harness for stuff. I don't know, you could probably put a tent under there. Another rad thing, the McFly, huge range between the hoop and your riser. You don't have to stow your brakes on this. I mean, you should, it's good practice, right? Like stow your brake on the magnet, but also
it doesn't matter because you still have a ton of space. I would say a Maverick or a Scout or most other paramotors are here. Your brake is almost touching the net when you're not stowed. This gives you a bunch of room. Regarding the hoop, this is the travel cage. I don't find it to be very nice to put together. It's also not bad. I don't mind it, but it's on par with every other paramotor. And maybe I'm just kind of oversensitive to it, over bitchy, but I don't like putting paramotors together. I find it frustrating and annoying, and it's something I dread every single time, except for the PAP. This one's not hard, but it's like I wouldn't want to put it together every time I flew it. One thing we've noticed at Backcountry is that it doesn't really matter what size person you put on this thing or what your weight is. The hang point doesn't matter a lot. It does matter a little bit, but you could, like Trevor and I, he is 170 something, I'm 130 something. We can just hop in this thing and fly it without having to change the hang point, which is really, really nice. If you share your motor a lot. Also, another gripe, Aurora PPG, Aurora PPG fly-in in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, happening without me in August. Best time of year to be in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania. All my friends are there right now. They just finished flying. They're probably all at the Shore Diner in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, being served by a waitress named Jessica who hasn't left the state of Pennsylvania since she was 19 to spend one semester in college in New York, where she promptly said this isn't for me and began waiting tables after her 20th birthday. I am terribly sad I'm missing it. It looks like a fantastic time, and I hope that I can make it to the next one. But speaking of fly-ins, the more than 5th annual Endless Foot Drag Fly-in in Fredonia, Kansas will be happening at some point in mid-September, and myself and Trevor Steele will be making a voyage in my schoolie across the country from Salt Lake City, Utah to participate in the Endless Foot Drag. I am incredibly excited to go to a big fly-in like that. It sounds like an incredible time. But yeah, Macketh flyeth. Now, back on the ground with the MacFly. Thing's fantastic. I think is my preferred paramotor. I really, really like it. There's just something about the way it flies. It's pretty special. If you're looking to get a MacFly, demo a MacFly, or get some information on the MacFly, you can do that at backcountryppg.com or call Trevor directly at this number right here. Backcountry PPG is Trevor and I's paramotoring venture. We're a full-service paramotor school and sales company based in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's Trevor and I doing our best to do what we think is best for paramotoring, and if you want any information on the MacFly, you call us up. Anyway, for now, thank you for watching. Appreciate all of you. I hope you have a great week. Fly safe, fly good, don't suck, and see you later.